An exhibit on display that condones our inner scofflaws. The American consumer begged for it. So this car is a true survivor. They went and did the thing. They really have the Cannonball thing under wraps. Hey everyone, and welcome back to DC MotorWerks. My name is Cameron, and today we are in Cartersville, Georgia, because we are at the Savoy Automobile Museum because they have an exhibit on display that condones our inner scofflaws. And what I mean by that is a Cannonball exhibit. So there are some cars inside that are going to be very familiar to you, and some others on a different exhibit that we're going to check out today. So let's go ahead, jump inside, and see all the cool stuff there is to see at the Savoy Museum. So here we are in the center display of the Savoy Automobile Museum, and on display are a bunch of Cannonball cars. But here we'll start off with my Cannonball car, the 1979 Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9. I know that is a mouthful, but in the US they were just called the 6.9. And only about 1,800 of these cars were delivered to the US, because originally Mercedes-Benz thought that they weren't going to sell this car here because it was right in the middle of the oil crisis, and something that gets 8 to 11 miles to the gallon didn't seem like something they were going to sell a lot of. But the American consumer begged for it, and they came here for later in the production run, and we got just that limited amount. But a 6.9 was actually used in period Cannonball and was actually just minutes behind the winning Jaguar in one of the runs. And I knew when I saw that, and my good friend Ed Bolian convinced me, you know, very loosely, it was very easy to do, but to get into the Cannonball community was to find one of these. And I knew one of my clients that had one, and I convinced him after it took a number of months, I think maybe close to a year, to convince him to let it go and let me buy it. We've done 3 runs in this car now, 2 of the smaller, what we call Southern Classic runs, which emulates the Smokey and the Bandit run that our good friend Taylor Hull puts on. Make sure to check out his channel. We'll tag that in here as well. With my good friend Aaron Talene, we made all kinds of modifications to this car to do that run, and we set a new record in it. Not the crazy outright record. We set the, what we call the competitive event record, where more than one car or team ran at the time. And we did that in 30 hours and 56 minutes. So that is an average speed of 93 miles an hour across the whole country. Pretty wild, and you can see some of the stuff. It is not in its road tripping grime because it needed to look its best out here on the showroom floor. We'll call it the showroom floor, display floor. But you can see we got the 17-inch Penta wheels, and some of that was necessary because we went to a 300 millimeter front rotor up from the, forgive me, I think it was 240 millimeter on the 116s, but these are actually 126 brakes for those that are familiar. You can see we got some extra lighting in there. The main piece is there in the interior, and that is the 6-speed manual that we had custom built and sourced from Europe and sent over to convert the old 3-speed non-overdrive automatic to a double overdrive 6-speed manual, which made all the difference from being able to cruise at high speeds. Because whereas before we were cruising, you know, at 5,000 RPM at 130-ish miles an hour, now we can do that at around 3,000 RPM. And it didn't make a huge difference in fuel economy, maybe a mile or 2 to the gallon, but when you're at full tilt, not something you worry about. But in the trunk are 2 additional 19-gallon fuel cells, and that paired with the original 26-gallon tank, you have 64 gallons of fuel capacity. And at the 8 to 9 miles to the gallon that we averaged, we would do about 500, 550 miles between stops. We even have our old school vintage license plate on there to round out the look for the 79 model. It looks just the part, especially we also did the full European bumper trim and the lights in the front end. But this is one of my favorite cars to drive because for a near 50-year-old car, it really is amazing how well it performs in the modern era. And actually, my good friend Tyler Hoover from Hoovy's Garage just repurchased another 6.9. He had one many, many years ago in one of his very early YouTube videos, and he now just bought himself another one that we delivered to him just a few weeks ago. So I'm super excited to have another friend in the 6.9 community. I haven't quite convinced him to do the 6-speed manual yet, but maybe we'll get there. But really, these are an underappreciated car because it is just it still boggles my mind that we took something that was 45 years old and hadn't really been driven a lot. I think it was like 1,000 miles in 15 years for the time that my client had it, and pretty much immediately took it out and put 5,000 miles on this car at an average speed of nearly over 100 miles an hour. And it's a feat for a modern car, but an extra feat for an old car like this. But Mercedes-Benz really went to attack the market with this car because this was their first kind of foray into the big American sedan market. Because before this, like the 300 SEL 6.3, which is its predecessor, was actually a lot smaller, didn't quite compete with the big American sedans of the time. So this one, when they stuffed the big 6.8 liter, the Germans like to round up for whatever reason, but it is a 6.8 liter. It is the biggest V8 engine they ever put in a passenger car. It is 417 cubic inches, so very Americana in that regard. It was so big that they had to put a dry sump oiling system in this, so race car stuff there, so that it would fit. And they also had to adapt the frame rails and a few other things, so really a lot went into building this car. And it is something that can sit on the Autobahn at 140 miles an hour without fuss. I know we even drove it in the rain at over 120, and it didn't miss a beat. It just felt like a totally normal modern car. So one of my favorite cars of all time. But we also have another Cannonball car here, and this is actually one of mine and Aaron's as well, but we haven't really talked about this one on the channel yet because we acquired it not too long before it came here. But in 33, Irwin Baker, kind of one of the founders of Cannonball, as they say, drove one of these. It is a 1933 Graham 57 Blue Streak, another long name just like the 6.9. But drove one of these across the country in something in like 52 or 55 hours, I forget exactly. But our goal is to hopefully do that in this car before too long. We didn't quite make it on the attempt that we wanted to. So this car is a true survivor because it is now nearly 93 years old. And really, when you look at it, it is amazing because there's not a lick of rust underneath it. The chassis looks super clean. It looks like a true low mileage car. Of course, there is some patina on it, and we haven't really decided if we want to go back with getting this repainted and everything, or if we just want to keep the patina going. From what I can tell, this car was originally like a dark metallic red. There's actually a picture on Google I'll throw up in there that I believe this car should have been from the factory. But Graham, the Graham Motor Company, was actually one of the first to foray into metallic paints. And they actually use like ground up mica and fish scales to achieve the metallic look that is on most cars today. So these cars were really meant to compete with some of the big like LaSalle Cadillacs and some of the big expensive cars of the day. And you can really tell it was like they were very innovative in the chassis design, and they actually moved the chassis out and lower, whereas a lot of cars back then were super tall, but they changed the way the axle and frame rails were set up to lower and widen the profile of the car to make it high-speed capable. And this was actually able to do, 75, 80-ish miles an hour back in day with its big old straight 8 and the 3-speed manual. And of course, it is the full 30s look with the suicide doors, and actually it is super cool. Nearly every window opens in this car. The only one that doesn't is the back window back here, but even the third window here rolls down. And when you didn't have air conditioning, that is greatly appreciated, but you also have the Safari windshield that will pop out and the cowl vents. And this thing moves a lot of air when you're moving down the road. It moves a lot of air through the car. So greatly appreciated here in Georgia in the summer when I was driving this car. But we've got some fresh tires on it from Coker Tire. These are kind of the Repop period tires. Of course, in a white wall, got to have the white wall. The only real modification we've done to this is some little motorcycle lights there under the bumper, kind of hidden away, because we want to do the drive in this car kind of as period correct. So it's the original engine, no LS or anything like that, the original transmission, and see how we can do on modern roads with 93-year-old technology. Whereas when this run was done in 33, it would have been done with a brand new car, but there was no highway structure or anything back then like we have today. So stay tuned for that. It's coming soon. Let us know if you want to see more on this. This exhibit runs through the end of the month. It is currently beginning of January. Happy New Year, everybody. But this runs through the end of the month. So if you're in the North Georgia area or anywhere nearby, come check out the cars, because there are also a lot more Cannonball cars here that are much more significant than mine. So let's check those out. So rightfully so, at the center of the display is the Dan Gurney Brock Yates 365 GTB, the winner and one of the original Cannonball runs with the Cannonball guy himself, Brock Yates. And I'm super excited to see this here. We saw it up in New York a few years ago, and it's always nice to see that this gets brought out and still driven every now and again. And really with the blue and everything, it is just iconic and a true exciting thing to see that they took a Ferrari of all things and drove it at high speed across the country. Something that's usually reserved as a garage queen and so forth, only taken out on nice sunny days, that they went and did the thing and drove it as fast as they could. So after the 70s and 80s original Cannonball runs, it kind of went dark for a number of years, and was really revived by this car here that was driven by Alex Roy and his team in 2006, where they set a new winning time in this beautiful blue M5. As you know, if you follow the channel, we're not big BMW people, but you can't discount an E39 M5. They're absolutely gorgeous, drive amazing, have a great power plant and everything. And what a car, what a choice. I mean, just look at the picture of them just having a great time in the car. Then, one of the most famous runs was from my good friend Ed Bolian himself, that in 2013 took another Mercedes. You'll see they have quite the Cannonball prowess, because they are known for just being big, high-speed, comfortable machines. In 2013, he took this supercharged CL55 and smashed the record and set a record for over 100 mile an hour average, 100.3 to be exact, but in 28 hours and 50 minutes. And again, like I said, this is one of the most well documented because of the VinWiki channel, and he even wrote a book for making the effort for this run called For the Record. And if you hadn't read it, it's a great read. And of course, go check out Ed's channel, because he really has taken the Cannonball community into the next level of documentation and spreading the excitement and joy that is the Cannonball community. It's really after that well-documented record by my good friend Ed, he inspired a lot of people to chase a new record, and two of those cars are right here behind me from my good friends Doug and Arnie. And that really is the best part of the Cannonball community, is all of the people, because we really are a tight-knit community. But these are two of the modern Cannonball records, or more recent. Of course, another Mercedes here. Like I said, they really have the Cannonball thing under wraps. But 2725 in the highly modified E63. And then after this run, not long after, COVID started, and they went after their own record by nearly 2 hours and doing it in 25:39 in what they call the Fraud Taurus. So this is an Audi S6, but it has kind of been massaged and camouflaged to look like a Ford Taurus. You can even see the kind of Ford resembling Audi badge there on the front of the car. So that has also been disguised as the silver passenger car. So these are the outright record holders, and really just a crazy, crazy thing to see that we can go across the country that fast, and all the prep and everything that goes into it, into such good looking cars. And of course, we couldn't finish our visit without coming to see some familiar cars also that have been at the shop. In what they have right now is a Ferrari exhibit, and that's one of the best things about the Savoy Museum, is that they have rotating exhibits that change constantly. So there's always something fresh and new to see. And this is one of them. And you can see, if you've watched our Dino video, which we'll tag up in there, we've got the Dino here and also the 512 BB Koenig Special. So super cool here to see some other cars that we have worked on at the shop. So that is the Cannonball exhibit here at Savoy Automobile Museum. And remember, it runs through the end of the month. So if you're near Cartersville, Georgia, or want to come for a visit, come check out the cars through the end of the month. But also come after that, because there's always something new and exciting here at Savoy because of the rotating exhibits. It really is like no place else. And if you like what you saw here, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and we'll see you all very soon.